All right, welcome to the August 22nd Village of Shawnee Hills Council meeting. For all that can, please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here. Rosa.
Here.
Matney. Here. Thatcher.
Here.
Zimmerman.
All right, approval of the minutes from August 8th. Anything on page 1? Page 2? Page 3? And page 4. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the 8th?
So moved. Second.
Yates. Yes. Iser. Abstain. Rosa.
Yes.
Matney. Yes. Thatcher.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, does anyone with questions on the agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Yates. Yes. Iser. Yes. Rosa.
Yes.
Matney. Yes. Thatcher.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, Brian.
Thank you, Mark. Basically, 3 things on my report tonight. First, just as a follow-up from the last meeting. Just today, in fact, we received a petition to vacate the rights away from equity with respect to their development and the parking lot and the things that are going to be in and behind the building. So that was received today. So I'll take a look at that, assuming it's all there and together. I'll work on that legislation. So I'll have to check to see if they actually have all. They should probably, I assume they have all the adjoining property owners, so you won't have to have 6 weeks notice and a public hearing. But again, the petition just came in today, so I'll look at it and determine what we have to do and how quickly council can take a look at it. So we'll start working on that right now. Just general follow-ups with Miranda Holmes, and then the meeting that'll be tomorrow night. I know I talked to Kathy a little bit, just working on some things for tomorrow night's meeting, so that'll be, we're ready to go for that. See what happens. And last but not least, I had just a scintillating call last week, myself and Shirley and the folks at Rita with respect to the 91 cents and the Evans Farm Jed that we had. It was a very long conversation, and to be honest with you, I think what it came down to is the Jed board has not been very active. And to Rita, and not trying to defend Rita in their practices, but Rita's like, well, we really don't know who's out there, what's going on, because we don't know who's out there or what's going on. Basically, all of this was news to them, that there were buildings going up, there were things happening. So they will work with us, and we'll work with everybody with respect to the Evans Farm Jed, because they would like to collect as much income tax as possible in the commercial areas. But they don't know what they don't know. So they said other Jed boards are more active with them, so they could let them know. Say, for example, Turner's working on the construction, so they can try and check to make sure the folks at Turner are doing what they're supposed to do and the proper withholdings are being made. It seems to me that has not been happening, and that's why there has been no money. I mean, Orange Township is also a big proponent of trying to get money in, as we all are, because that was one of the spin-offs of the Jed is the income tax that was going to generate. So I think the Jed board will, because the Jed board also has counsel. We probably should have been counseling the Jed board on that, not to throw anyone under the bus, public meeting on YouTube, but there's multiple people along the way that really aren't us, really, or Rita, that I think will be much more involved and much more active on a going forward basis. I think that Rita's going to try and work with the Jed board to try and figure out maybe who was there before, because it is hard to get folks who are going to be just, filing their own income taxes to determine, where and when and how those are going to be made. But, Rita will try and do their best to try and capture what income taxes may have been missing on a going forward basis, to work hard to try and make sure that those are collected because, and I guess I think it's just miscommunication, so, or lack thereof, so. They are aware of it, and I think it seemed like they were gonna work hard. Does that sound about like what we talked about, Shirley?
Yeah, like someone from Orange Township is going to get the list or figure out
Right.
someone that's listening to them.
Yeah, well, that was one, they talked about the idea of like permits and this and that, and Shirley, I reminded, well, we, the village don't have really anything to do with it. We're not really, unless you happen to drive by, we're not involved in pulling all these permits and all these things, but that's the Orange Township, yeah, is going to be, I think they're gonna really step up and take a much more active role in setting up processes so they know exactly who's out there and when they're working, which should benefit everybody.
So $1 or $2, here we come.
You might be, yes, you might be looking at the whole fox pond, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're
That's
ready
good
for
return.
business to come in like real soon.
Right, yeah, I mean, yeah, they'll be,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
they're that far now.
So, yeah. Anyway, that, actually, we had, it was a lot, remember, so it was like 45-minute call or something. It was, we talked for a long time in the afternoon, so. Things just are happening better. And that's all I got. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Brian? All right, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, Russell?
Been working with ODOT and the township. They were gracious enough to cut back a couple areas for us. Today they got Wilma, which has been really bad for several years. ODOT is looking at cleaning up Dublin Road in at least 2 spots, getting trees back off the road. That way we can have more visibility on our side streets. We did send out several notices to landowners, and Wilma was one where the landowner was unresponsive. So, it's supposed to be up to the individual to take care of their own trees and their branches and cut it back from the road. So as leaves are falling off the trees here in the next couple months and you can access it better, ask all the residents and everybody to check that and make sure we're a few feet back off the road. Have a couple tall grass notices that'll be going out tomorrow. I know across the streets, one property that's starting to look pretty egregious. We did address, you brought up last week about the property on the corner, Todd. Richard cut that back as far as he could with what we had.
Okay.
And we'll continue to be on that. Again, some of the property owner is completely unresponsive to us.
Yeah.
Ohio groundskeeping, I really don't have many updates other than it's a long, slow process long, slow progress is what they seem to be doing. They have an active work permit through the county, so there's not much enforcement angle that we can do. I know I'd spoken with Mark about something with their foundation under the building, and they had to repair the foundation of the building, which set them back even further. And then permitting and engineering and all that for that. But more to come on that. Hopefully they start moving forward. The pallet out back, the remainder of the planters for the light poles arrived. So that'll put the planters all along Dublin and Glick Road. Hoping to get them installed this fall, working with Craig Baldridge and his group and put some kind of decoration in them, figure out what we can do for Christmas. But those will be installed soon. A negative, we were not awarded the grant funds to complete the remainder of the sewer repairs, the EPA mandates that we had. I'm meeting with Chris, he's been out, but when he gets back in the office, I'm hoping to meet with him and see what all needs done and how we can fund it. I'm coming into this debacle, in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left. So hopefully we can get it done and taken care of. We do have a lot of COVID money left over that can go towards that. So I know that we'll probably eat up most, if not all, the COVID funds. And then the last thing, I started working on the list, but I'll be working with Chris over this winter. I follow Facebook in the village, and a lot of residents use sidewalks and completing these little projects where we've started or having to cross Dublin Road several times. And we talked about the pocket parks. We've talked about several things. We're going to put a list and we're going to put a dollar figure with it. That way, when there is grant money available or there is excess funds in wherever and we would like to use them, we can go to that list and have a ballpark figure what it costs. That way we can actually start completing some of these projects. Sidewalks on both sides of streets. Everything that doesn't have a sidewalk is I've been told is an engineering nightmare from Chris. So let's figure out what those costs are and what those nightmares are and that way, as we move forward and we get JED money in and we do things, we can actually start finishing these projects. So hopefully we'll have that this winter, and I'll work with UST and we can kind of keep an ongoing eye on that list as to what we need to do. Administrator, that's it.
Any question? All right.
Police chief here. You have legislation tonight. We did hire a part-time officer. You know, we've been running with this least amount of staff as we possibly can. And it works, but we came across a retired Ohio State University officer. He's currently a school teacher over in Olentangy. Phenomenal guy, lots of experience. His references spoke very highly of him. Dan kept talking to him for an hour and a half, and I had more things to do. But we offered him the position. Dan swore him in last week, and so we have that legislation tonight. Calls. So we've seen an uptick of calls coming into the office, or my cell phone at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday or Saturday. Please, and it's no one here, but there. Call dispatch. If you want an officer to respond, call dispatch. You're going to get a quicker and better response when it happens. If you call dispatch, than you are me 2 days later or leaving a voicemail in the office. Let's see. And if you have an issue, another thing that we've been seeing, if you have an incident or an issue, please report it immediately. We're getting a lot of calls 2 days later, hours later, a month later. There's not much we can do looking back. There's a lot of things we can do at the moment when something happens. So we ask residents to help us help you. Back to school, just we're seeing the school buses again. Just make sure we're driving carefully on the side streets. We're minding the buses, giving them room, get the kids on and off, and watching for the kids darting across the road, down the street, and working on plans for trick or treat tailgate this year. Hopefully we can get a date nailed down from Morpsey for trick or treat and get that planned.
All right, any questions?
I have one, but I was guilty of calling you instead of calling dispatch about the gentleman without the permit.
Did you call at 1 in the morning?
It wasn't 1 in the morning though, thank you. It was,
Okay,
it was 1 in the afternoon possibly. The one guy.
And then they're going door to door.
The door to door. What is the,
Pest control.
Gosh, he-
yeah, and a lot of people have, I've talked to a few of my neighbors, and they have said, he's very aggressive and he's very pushy. What is the best way that as the police chief that you can, besides just calling, just to shoot it, what's the best? I know calling, but.
Don't answer your door, tell them you're not interested. I have the same company in my neighborhood, and they don't care about the no soliciting signs. You're backing out of the driveway, they'll stand behind your car and want to talk to you. We require a soliciting permit here, and the best way to take care of it is ignore them and call us, and we'll either make sure they have a permit. If they're being aggressive, I think there's a process to revoke that permit. But to call us and let us take care of it.
Thank you.
Call dispatch.
Yeah, not you directly.
Dispatch.
All right, that it? All right, thank you, Russ. All right, Carol is here to talk about music in the village.
I have to be honest and say a lot of this comes from Craig Cudhill, because Craig was the guy who was in charge of all of our musicians. But I did wanted to give, first of all, thank the village very much for cooperating with us on village and music in the village. The signage worked out beautifully. I know they were paying attention to the signs because people kept calling the chamber to find out where the park was. And I didn't figure it out until about 4 weeks in, that all I had to say was across the street from the farm market. Because one woman thought that the shops down here on Shawnee Hills was the police station. So you've been upgraded on the police station.
Should have said it by the Christmas tree.
They couldn't find the Christmas one. She said, I drove and I couldn't find the place. Okay, Craig Tudhill was basically responsible for the nine musicians who played. I did recommend the Central Ohio Symphony because I happen to know them. The attendance varied. We started out fairly small, and I think part of that was it was an extremely hot day that day. I think you were there, weren't you? I thought I was going to have heat stroke, but I thought the mix of musicians was really, really good. We averaged about 46 or 62 attendees. The largest number was 86, and that was the final event with Jim Cunningham. We had probably 15 different zip codes represented of people who attended, which was really kind of my idea. And the idea was to bring people into the village of Shawnee Hills so they knew what was going on here. I had one woman say to me, "Is there any food down at third base?" So yeah, we accomplished advertising our businesses, and I think it's going to really grow next year. Cash-wise, we did really well. Craig managed all of the bands, and they seemed to be happy, and I hope you all were happy. Does anybody have any questions on music in the village? Okay, anything to add, Rob, or you?
We actually did have one business in the village sponsor one of the
Oh, thank you.
the dentist sponsored one of the events. In years past, we've done more with that. So maybe next year we'd like to work that back in so the businesses can be highlighted a little better. But I did see lots of pizza from Iacanos. I saw lots of stuff from the wine store. So everyone was enjoying the Dora and the availability of local products.
Thank you. I did mean to mention that. We had the signage. Russ got his guys to put up the signs at the right spot. I had one property owner who complained because the sign was on her property, and it was immediately moved. Other than that, I think the signage worked. We've got all the signage left for next year, so if we decide we're going to do this next year, we're going to do it next year. Anything else, Rob?
No, that's it.
So I think it was pretty good. If anybody has any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
All right, I have a couple things on, I guess, communication. So Sustainable 2050 did email, and they need a representative from the village that we have to nominate for their first meeting, September 16th at 9:30 a.m. at Morpsey. If anybody's interested, I actually have somebody in mind that I think would fit well in this role. So we'll contact them. Second issue, well, not issue, but the riverfront group in dealing with the watershed in Columbus, possibly getting together with them this week, not for the town hall, but setting up the day for the town hall. I wanted to remind everybody there's a small meeting tomorrow. The planning and zoning will meet. I would come early if you want to skeet. And then I wanted to point out, I'm surprised Russ did not point this out, but I don't know if anybody saw there was a major drug bust on 71 that our dog found quite a bit of drugs. So that in itself is, I mean, I don't know what the cost of havoc, not to us, but just in general. I mean, I would think that it's quite a big deal for a dog. So things like that make you proud of the department, what they've done and how they've grown over the years. So that is everything I have. Do we have, or Rob, do you have a report?
Yeah, working on Veterans Day. If you know any veterans who we have not yet highlighted in the village, and let me know. We're definitely going to do our normal thing with the American Legion. I haven't looked at the dates, but we'll do it the Saturday closest. I think the one before is what we normally do, right? And so we'll go back to that. And I had a couple of different people stop me and ask certain questions about some repairs and some stuff in the village. Talked to Russ, and they were handled right away. So, it's nice to see that, people recognize you and ask, hey, what's going on with this or that you can make an effect on it. And I did not call Russ at 1 a.m. And I also went with Shirley today to the TIRC, the Tax Incentive Review Council, and we did our normal thing there, renewed our TIFs, got all that handled with the county. So that is it.
All right, any other committees? All right, Kathy, I'm sure you'll have a good report next time. All right, legislative actions. We have a first reading resolution 10-2022, a resolution authorizing and directing the village administrator to execute a compensation agreement for the Berlin Business Park with Berlin Township, Concord Township, and Delaware County Finance Authority, and declare an emergency. All right, so we've talked, briefly discussed this for the last couple of times. Any questions on this? All right, do I have a motion to suspend with the second and third reading and declare resolution 10-2022 an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
Gates,
Yes.
Isaac.
Yes.
LaRosa.
Yes.
Manning.
Yes.
Batchor.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, motion to adopt resolution 10-2022.
Second.
Gates.
Yes.
Isaac.
Yes.
LaRosa.
Yes.
Manning.
Yes.
Batchor.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, first reading ordinance 18-2022, an ordinance confirming my appointment of John Quinlan is a part-time police officer for the village of Shawnee Hills and declare an emergency. So I did talk to Officer Quinlan for quite a while after, and he was such a nice guy. He didn't say,
Oh,
"Hey, would you
yeah.
shut up? I actually have things that I'm supposed to be doing here." Russ kindly told me after the fact, "Hey, you mind?" So anyway, real nice guy to get a chance to meet him. So do I have a motion to suspend with the second and third reading?
So
I have a question on it. His name is spelled differently on the agenda and on the paper, and which one is it? Is it QUI?
QUIN.
And it is spelled incorrectly twice or three times on the ordinance.
You know, I could
Typo.
find and replace, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll fix that.
You hate to point the wrong guy.
All right, where were
We need a second, I
we?
think.
Second.
Gates,
Yes.
Isaac.
Yes.
LaRosa.
Yes.
Manning.
Yes.
Batchor.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, motion to adopt ordinance 18-2022.
So moved.
Second.
Gates,
Yes.
Isaac.
Yes.
LaRosa.
Yes.
Manning.
Yes.
Batchor.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, so we'll welcome John Quinlan or Quinlan aboard, either one is welcome. First reading, ordinance 19-2022, an ordinance creating and establishing fund number 2901, the State of Ohio Opioid Litigation Settlement Fund. Any questions on this? Mandatory, all right. Do I have so that's a first reading. All right, approval of the bills. So we looked at those.
Yes.
Everything good?
Yep.
All right. Do I have a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $38,437.74?
So moved.
Second.
Gates, yes. Isaac.
Yes.
LaRosa.
Yes.
Manning.
Yes.
Batchor.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Shirley, treasurer's report?
$362,739. Street fund, $483,528.79. State highway, $27,312.11. EV body armor, $2,753.48. Continuing professional training, $2,535.48. Evans Farm Judge, 91 cents. Drug law enforcement, $534.41. Indigent drivers, $385.84. Law Enforcement Trust, $7,818.04. American Rescue Plan, $63,418.14. Enforcement Education, $1,245.85. Fire Fund, $133,437.76. TIF, 98,000 to 3483. TIF 2, 33,846.44. Waste District Fund, 280,000, 336.82. Veterans Memorial, 248.97. Sewer operating, 24,930.82. Sewer replacement, 13,036.08. Sewer, 12,979.10. And debt service, 63,332.24 for a total of 1,540,173.50.
All right. Motion to approve the treasurer's report.
So moved. Keith?
Yes.
Eisner?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Stanton?
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody with anything additional? All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?